want to talk about it." That specific question was asked again by the housekeeper when she opened the front door for her. "I don't want to talk about it," Regan repeated. The housekeeper took her book bag. "Thank you," Regan said. She ran up the circular staircase and down the south hallway to her bedroom, slammed the door shut, and promptly burst into tears. Regan knew she was a disappointment to her mother because, try though she did, she couldn't keep her emotions under control. If she fell and scraped her knee and it stung, she just had to cry, no matter where she was or who was around to observe her behavior. When she was unhappy, she broke all the rules her mother had tried to teach her. Regan had been told time and again to be ladylike, but she wasn't sure what that entailed, except, of course, to keep her knees together when seated in a chair. She didn't like to suffer in silence, no matter how golden that rule was in the Madison household. She didn't particularly care about being brave, either, and if she was miserable, then her family needed to hear all about it. Unfortunately, the only family member home at the moment was Aiden. He was the least sympathetic, probably because he was the oldest and couldn't be bothered with the worries of a 5-year-old. He hated it when she cried, but that didn't stop her. She blew her nose, washed her face, and changed her clothes. After she removed her uniform, she carefully folded it and then dropped it into the wastebasket. Since she wasn't going back to that terrible school, she wouldn't need those ugly clothes ever again. She put on shorts with a matching top and broke another rule by running barefoot down the hall to her brother's room. She timidly knocked on the door. "Could I come in?" She didn't wait for an answer, but opened the door, ran across the room to his bed, and jumped up on the soft comforter he always tossed on the floor when he slept. Folding her legs underneath her, she pulled the dangling school-approved barrettes from her hair and dropped them in her lap. Aiden looked irritated. Dressed in his rugby clothes, he was sitting at his desk, surrounded by textbooks. She didn't notice he was on the phone until he said goodbye and hung up. "You're supposed to wait until I say it's okay for you to come in my room," he said. "You don't just barge in." Then, when she didn't respond, he leaned back in his chair, studied her face, and asked, "Have you been crying?" She thought about it and decided to break another rule. She lied. "No," she said, her gaze glued to the floor. He knew she wasn't telling the truth, but decided not to press the honesty issue now. His little sister was clearly distraught. "Is something wrong?" he asked, knowing full well there was. She wouldn't look at him. "No," she said, drawing the word out. He let out a loud sigh. "I don't have time to guess what the problem is, Regan. I'm going to have to leave for practice in a couple of minutes. Tell me what's wrong." She lifted her shoulders in a shrug. "Nothing's wrong, honest." She was making circles with her fingertips on top of the comforter. Aiden gave up trying to find out what was worrying her. He bent down and put on his shoes. He suddenly remembered that today was Regan's first day at Briarwood and casually asked, "How was school?" He was totally unprepared for her response. She burst into tears and threw herself down, burying her face in his comforter and conveniently wiping her eyes and her nose on his duvet. She told him everything she'd been saving up since recess. The problem was, she didn't make a lick of sense. It all came out in one long, rambling, barely coherent sentence. "I hate school and I'm never going back, not ever, 'cause they didn't let us have snacks and I had to sit still for too long, and there was this girl and the other big girl made her cry, and the big girl said if we told teacher she'd get us too, and I didn't know what to do, so I went by the building with the girl at recess and I helped her cry, and now I'm never going back to that bad school again, 'cause tomorrow the big girl said she was going to get the girl again." Aiden was astonished. Regan was wailing for all she was worth. Had she not been so miserable, he would have laughed. Such drama. She got that trait from the Hamilton side of the family. All the Hamiltons wore their emotions on their sleeves. He and Spencer and Walker fortunately took after the Madison side. They were far more reserved. Regan was making so much